With an everlasting love, you care for me, your Lord. I will sing. Good morning, everybody. So sorry, I had a call. I needed to pick the call first of all. So today's topic is not going to be easy, but I'm going to try my best to do justice to it. So today we're talking about water as one of the elements of nature, or the elements of the universe, and what water can do and all that. So I'm just going to wait to be very sure it has been sent before we continue. Okay. All right. So good morning, everyone. Today we are talking about water as principalities. Okay. Water is not easy, but I'm going to get to the basic to tell you. But before I go into that, I want to address some of the concerns and questions that emanated from the last live video. And so many people were talking about. I noticed one of the most common factor was people confusing the difference between appeasement, separation, between appeasement and separation, and when you should appease and when you should separate. And I think that was what led us to taking water as the next element. Remember what started this topic was that I was talking about principalities and powers, and I said that principalities and powers are not something you just talk about, like put everything into one basket, and that is not something that can be done with one live video. So we took Earth first of all, because as far as I'm concerned, Earth is the most common and the most powerful element of nature, because Earth is where we are and habitat. All living things dwell on, not all living things, but everything that has two legs and walk, or mammal, dwells on Earth, and we are the product of the Earth. So I think that Earth is the most important. But today we are going to talk about one of the most powerful elements. There are 6 elements. If you remember, I told you there is water, there is earth, there is air, there is wind, there is fire, and there is the firmament, so to say. That's light. There is the under light, you have the moon and the sun. And under the light, the moon and the sun is where you have seasons and times. So these are what comprises the 6 elements of nature. We have spoken about earth last week, and this week we're talking about water as the element of life. Let me give you a fun fact first of all. When I was going to start this video, I told my partner, he asked me what am I talking about today. I told him I'm talking about our relationship. So he really gave me highlights of all the things I can say and not say. He doesn't know that that's not what I'm talking about. So if you watch this video, he will tell me I'm very mad. But baby, that's on you. So like I was saying, last week we spoke about Earth. We talked about Earth. I'm still going to come back to Earth when we are doing summary talk about principalities and powers. I'll still come back to Earth, solutions about the Earth. But today we are talking about water. Water is one of the most vital elements of life. So vital that there is no human being who does not need water, or encounter water or the powers of the water in one way or the other. Be it through the drinking water, be it through the water you use to cook, be it through the water you use to clean your body, be it through the rain that comes down from the sky, or the dew that comes down from the sky, be it the waters that bring the wealth of the nation into your own territory. There is no human being that do not come across water. So it is strange to me when people say that there is no water under the there is no powers under the water. There is this famous song. I don't know if you are Igbo, or if you are Igbo, you would know this song. It used to be very famous when we were growing up. It says, Ike di nenu, Ike di na, Ike di n'okpuru mmiri ma ha Jesus carry ya. In case you're not Igbo, what this song means is that there is power in the heavens, there is power in the earth, and there is power under the water. But the name of Jesus surpasses all of them. So at least that is an admission that there is truly power under the earth. Now I'm going to start from the very beginning, and I wanted to take this discussion from 3 angles. Now, before I start, let me make a disclaimer. Everything I'm saying is what I have read. Everything I'm saying is what are personal assumptions, opinions, and observations. None of them is extremely informed, but this came from research that have been done over time, knowledge that have been gathered over time. I spent the whole of last week from Sunday till now preparing myself to talk about this without blinking, because I wanted to be thorough about it. I do not just wake up, put on live video and start talking. I actually refresh my mind, pray about it, think deeply about it, ask questions and research. So I'm talking about this strictly from a personal view and opinion, and I'm not an expert in what I'm talking about, but I'm sharing my opinion, my research, and my observations over time. So before I start, like I said, I'm going to look at this from 3 important angles. I'm going to look at this from the religious angle. Religion in the sense that it covers multiple religion: Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, Muslim, Sabbath, or any kind of religion. So first of all, we'll be talking about this from the religious angle. Secondly, we'll be talking about this from the traditional angle. Traditional in the sense that we're talking about water as a basic, without any coloration, without any religious coloration. Then thirdly, we'll be talking about water from a scientific angle. We are giving it scientific angle to it. So let me start with the religious angle. I do not know the historical story about the other religions and how they came to be and what they believe is the originality or the origin of man. But if the Christian view is to be believed, the Christian view say that the earth was without form and full of water. So what that means is that water existed before we all came to being. So the Bible said that the earth was without form and was full of water, that was submerged in water, and that the Spirit of God lived on top of the water. It didn't say inside the water. I have had that argument on my wall before, and people said in the water. The Indian mommy said it's in the waters, and it said that the Spirit of God hovered on top of the waters. That means there was water before there was human beings. So water is an essential part of life, or the beginning of life. And God said, let there be light, and there was light, and let the water separate from the land and know its border. And that was how we now had earth and water moved out and knew its border. That was how powerful water is. Eventually, God gave human the power to subdue everything that is under the creation. I don't know whether water was included, but I do know that the elements are not subject to human control. That is one thing you need to take down today, that the elements being the earth, the air, the water, the wind, the light, that's the light and the fire, are not elements to human control. No matter how you try, humans were never meant to dominate over the elements of the universe. So all elements are not subject to be controlled by humans. You may argue that that fire is subject to human control, but fire is not subject to human control in the sense that till fire stops burning, you cannot control it. And you may control certain lights, man-made fire, but you cannot control fire that comes out on its own. And before you start thinking that the only type of fire we have is when fire catches a house, electrical fault and all that, it begins to burn, matches, gas and all that. No, there is something also called volcanic eruption. Volcanic eruption is also an element of fire. It is uncontrollable. It only subsides on its own. So fire is not subject to human control. We do not control daytime. We do not control nighttime. So light is also not controlled by humans. Now, back to the Christian view, we could see in the Bible a lot of times, the powers of water. And I will give you like few examples in the Bible so you understand where I'm coming from. The first one, I have told you that there was water before humans were assumably created by God, and that God was already living on top of the waters. And therefore, that those people God told, let us, quotation mark, let us make human in our own form, means that there were powers that were coexisting with God, who may be under the water, floating on top of the water with him, but those powers actually existed. Now, eventually human was created and all that. The second part in the Bible where we saw water rage was when God had gotten tired of the imperfections of man, of the sins of men, of the atrocities that were in the land, and God decided to use water to recleanse the land and start afresh. That means you can actually say that water is an item for recleansing. Water is an item for recleansing and starting afresh. So God assumably destroyed the mankind that was existing at that particular time with water and started afresh again. That was why he told Noah to pack these elements into the water, and they survived the water. So the water that was able to destroy mankind was also the water that preserved Noah and everything that was in the ark with him. Have you ever thought of this? The water that was used to destroy mankind was also used to preserve Noah, his family, and everybody that was in the ship with him. The ark or whatever, the ship with him. So water can be used to destroy. Water can also be used to preserve. That is one thing you need to take note of immediately. Now, thirdly, after the water had subsided and went back to its border, because the reason why water was able to destroy the humankind was that water left the border where it was supposed to stay, went into where humans were, and cleansed out what it felt was not good. Now remember, every human being that was killed in that whole episode went into the water back. That was me. That water swallowed it back. From where you came, water took it back and took it back into the ocean before it went back into the ocean. So it goes to tell you that the water is powerful. It can also be used to cleanse the land. But something significant happened after the Noah episode. God said in his own words that never again would he use water to destroy mankind again. Never again will he use water to destroy mankind again. What that means is that water has now been ruled out of the kind of disaster that can end the human race. So no matter how bad it is, it's assumed, if you believe the Christian version, that water can never be used to destroy humans again. It did not say that it has taken away the power of the water to cleanse. It does not say that it has taken away the powers of the waters to invade the land, but it said it will never be used to cleanse the human race altogether again. Now that is it for that side. I think the other part where significantly water came into place again was when Moses and the children of Israel were going to cross through the Red Sea. I in particular have been to that very Red Sea. I have been there. Yes, it's such a big water, such a very, very big water. I don't know if I have the video handy, but I've been to the Red Sea. And one of the first things that came to my mind the first day I visited the Red Sea was like, wow, this is not even as red as it looked in the Bible. So, okay. And I think I asked them, why is the water not red? I thought, well, we've always believed in Nigeria that this water is red. were there, like, oh, that was just story and all that, but it's not as red as it was. So I think that was another place where God showed his might using water. Moses was instructed to hit the stone, the bank, 3 times or so that the waterways could part ways. Now, thinking of it, and from what I have seen, because I've seen the Red Sea, it didn't make sense to me that when David hit that stone, that water separated like that for them to walk over. But I think why that story is valid is that from the place where I saw the water, I was in Jordan. So from Jordan to Israel was full of, realistically now, from Jordan to Israel, there is a road that has just mountains and mountains and mountains that they could have easily passed to Israel. But then also there is that Red Sea, but from where that Red Sea is, the connecting place is not Israel. So I didn't understand the story. It was funny to me, but if they said it happened, it happened. Maybe I do not have all the geographical information about that, but that sea was so long, extremely so long. But they said Moses parted the sea and the people of Israel walked through to the other side of the place. So I get to think maybe, given the stories in the Bible, it might actually be a little bit factual, given the fact that they used 400 years or so or 40 years to cross to go for a journey that was supposed to take them 40 days. So maybe they surpassed the land that was supposed to lead them directly to Israel. From where there are places you will stand, like if you're standing in Mount Horeb in Jordan, you can easily see Israel at the other side, and you say, okay, let me walk this. You can easily walk there, give or take maybe 30 days or max you're there. If you're walking by foot, if you're on horse, maybe 15 days and all that. So it might be actually true. So Moses parted the Red Sea for the children of Israel to walk through, meaning that the water heeded to the instruction of a higher power. Remember, in every story I will tell you, always remember that I am not one of those people who do not believe that there is no God. Everything, every power, everything is subject to the supreme God, and there is a God. Whether you want to believe it or not, there is a God somewhere, and he's extremely powerful. Do not ever doubt that. So Moses parted the sea and his people walked through the sea. And when they just got to the bank of where they were going, that was when the Pharaoh and co came in and said, we're going to chase these people. And immediately they got into the middle of the sea closed back. That also shows you that that same sea that could be used, that the water that could be used to preserve a group of people, preserve some people, can also be used to destroy somebody. You will understand where I'm going when I come to another part in this story, when I'm talking about how people use water for against, or when we're talking about the powers in the water and what they could actually do. And when I'm talking about how our people always say namadu sinamiri, I don't know if you're Igbo, but I know that this also is prevalent. I don't know about the northern part of Nigeria, but I actually am good with our side, like the southern part of Nigeria. So you will see this prevalently play out again when our people say in the south. And most of us in the south actually have very huge similarities. So it's always funny when we do not understand that we are one. We have these huge similarities that link us all up, and all those things that play here also play there. Even some part of the north, like Kwara, Kogi, and all those things, were also all linked together in one way, Benue and all those things. So this is going to also play out when I'm talking about water spirit, possession, and all that. I'm going to talk about that in the future. That's if we are going to this long, if I don't get tired before I get into that. Now, moving on. That water that destroyed Moses, that destroyed Pharaoh and his army, preserved Moses and the people of Israel at that time. So that was another scenario where water was used to preserve and to destroy. Another prevalent story in the Bible, I might not remember it all the time, but there are so many stories. In fact, one of the elements that played the major roles in the development of human race, in the historical development of human race, is water. I could give you tons and tons of examples in the Bible as it flashes into my head where water has been used to preserve and to destroy. Another prevalent story about water was, first of all, I'm talking about the healing part now, what water can do with healing. If you remember the story of Naaman in the Bible, the Boti children, you might remember this song. Naaman run captain, had a sickness of leprosy, looking for someone to cure him. Elijah told him to go and bathe in the river of Jordan. Naaman, your body shall be made clean by the river of Jordan. Naaman, 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 your body shall be made clean. If you're a Boti Pikin, you remember this song, right? So it was said that Naaman, a powerful captain in the Roman Empire that had dominated Israel at that time, had a sickness of leprosy, and one of his maid servants, his slave servant, a female that was working with his wife at that time, told his wife in confidence, I know where you can easily get healing for what is for the problem you have. You need to go back to Israel, go and look for a man called Elijah, go to him and he will heal you of this sickness. He will tell you what to do. And Naaman heeded to the young girl's advice, went to Elijah, and Elijah simply told him, go to the water at Jordan, dip yourself in 7 times, come out, and the leprosy shall be wiped clean. That was an example of water being used to cleanse. That was a prime example of the fact that water could cleanse a person. Now, that particular water of River Jordan, thankfully, I have also been there. And when I got there, I saw a lot of people fetching water, claiming that the water had healing properties and all that. It was also sold very expensive. Unfortunately for us, we tried to smuggle the water into Nigeria. At the airport, we had to discard it and all that. But it also showed that in the old Israel, before the New Testament and all that, that water was used to cleanse. That means water had something in it that was capable of healing and cleansing people, that was used to initiate a healing process. So that was the story of Naaman. Another place where water was also used significantly for healing was the man who had been by the pool of Bethesda for 8 years, waiting for his turn, for the water to turn, so somebody could throw it into him and he gets his healing. Now, he had waited for 38 years, paralyzed, waiting by the water pool, but something significant was there. There were people who come and wait, and because they could use their leg or had people who could help them, immediately that water turns, they throw people into it, they get their healing immediately and go. If nobody was getting their healing, nobody would be by the pool of Bethesda waiting for that water to heal. What does that tell you? Water had healing properties also. That means there's a power in the water that initiates a healing process. That is it. Another thing you needed to note in the Bible was so many times when there was a famine in the land or drought, there was no rain. Maybe now there could be a scientific solution to why water would go away for so long. It wouldn't rain, the brooks will dry up, the sea banks will dry up, no water to drink and all that. Serious rain, serious drought, no water and everything. Maybe now there could be a scientific solution for it or explanation for it. I have not seen particularly. If you have seen, you could actually share that with me. But it means that there were times when water, we're not now talking about the waters in the sea, we're talking about the waters in the sky, could dry up to punish humans or to take something from them. So water could be used to stop human at its track completely. So that should also tell you that water could also be used to bring hardship to the land. Even in our modern days now, there are years when you say, I remember particularly 2021, there was not a lot of rain in Abuja and the farm produce didn't do well. In fact, if there is no rain, no matter how you use artificial irrigation, if there is no rain, the farm produce could not do well. So that tells you water is an essential element to human preservation and growth and all that. Now we have spoken of that. I'm trying to remember other examples of the water. I don't want to go into the book of Revelation and what has been said about it. I don't want to go into the book of Isaiah and what has been said about water, how water vomits the goodness of the land, how water is capable of bringing wealth to people and all that. I don't want to go into all that because of lack of time. So I want to move into the traditional part of it. So I'm trying to be extremely fast. If I do this detail, we'll be here for a very long time. So I'm trying to be very, very fast about this. Now, moving into the traditional place, just like the time of the Israel, in our own time too, water had been used for all these things. Even in our own time, there are famines. There are times when there will be no water, and our ancestors will be crying, "Oh, Chineke nyena anyị mmiri o, we don't have water. Water will fight, destroy people. You throw water, you throw some things into the water or do something, water will be used." When they are trying to find the truth, they'll go to Mmiri or Ezewanyi Mmiri and say, "Okay, this is it. Let them." There were villages who worship the water deities. So yes, they are actually water deities. One thing I do know is that, okay, this is another thing I significantly wanted to tell people from the religious angle of it. Another part where water played a major role in the Bible was when Jesus went to a graveside and met a madman there that had 1,000 demons that had possessed him, called Legion. I remember very well the Bible story said Jesus asked the man, "What is your name?" And the man said, "My name is Legion, because we are so many." And Jesus cast out the demons. But before Jesus cast out the demons, remember the demons were in their thousands, possessing just one man that had made him injure himself, throw himself on the ground, and was living comfortably in the graveside. In fact, not in the graveside, in a cemetery. So remember when Jesus wanted to cast the demons away, the demons, knowing fully well that Jesus was a power and a principality on his own, said something to Jesus. "Please do not just cast out us of this body. We will not have anywhere to live." And Jesus said, "Where do you want me to send you?" And the demons said, "Oh, send us into those pigs." There was a herd of pigs somewhere being shepherded by their owner, and he said, "Send us into those pigs." And Jesus cast out the demons with his own power and sent those demons right into the pig, and the pig took out in their number, like there was a certain madness. Guess where the pigs went to? If you remember this Bible story, I'm sure you may not remember, but if you remember the pigs, that means all the demons that were cast out from those pigs, then they were cast out from that man and went into the pigs, went into the went into the sea. There is no telling, or you do not need to be told, that when they got into the sea, the demons do not die, because demons do not die. So what would have happened was that the demons may have separated from the dead pigs and possessed the water and stayed there and found a home there. So yes, there are demonic powers also in the water. Now, moving on back to the traditional part I was talking about. In so many traditional belief, it is believed that we all came from water, and you would not argue that, because the Christian part also said that water was the origin of human life, because the earth was full of water and God lived on top of the water. So our traditional religion believed so much that everybody came from water, and that water is the mother of all creation. But it's not true, because not everybody comes from water. There are people who came from earth, there are people who came from heaven. Not heaven as in the heaven, like the sky and all that. And there are people who came from water. In our religion, before the white man came with their civilization and all that, it is also believed that the children who came from water were troublesome, they died in their infancy, they made their mother's hell lie. Now, scientifically, our people will say, "Oh, those children that were referred to as Omo Obanje or Abiku children were actually children who had sickle cell that were not managed properly, so they managed to die at their young age." But I know then that so many times now, this is where it gets all confusing and where you start mixing up the scientific, what you have heard scientifically with what has been happening traditionally. It was said that some of these children will come, die, at certain time they will die. But if you do certain things, these children will come and they will stay and live to their old age. That is where the appeasement thing came in our traditional religion. So you would see a couple who would birth 7 children and they all managed to die. Now this is where it gets interesting, and this thing I'm telling you, remember, I was lucky enough to come, it's not I was lucky enough, I am lucky enough to come from a lineage of people who have longevity, in the sense that they live to be extremely old. So I met a lot of my ancestors as a child, and I am a village girl, so there are times when we go to the village, my grandmother tells us story, so I have listened to them. Now this was something that was peculiar, that had been unexplained by science. And one day, if we're talking about, I think maybe when we are talking about the heavens as an element, we'll talk about reincarnation and the possibilities of reincarnation. So I think this was where science lost out an explanation to the peculiarities of that time. It was said that some of these Obanje children, if they were, when they were young and they were dying, if you give them a mark at some place in their body, when they come again, they come with that same mark. So how possible it is that a child who was born and given a mark dies, comes back again, and that same mark is still there? That means there is something that keeps returning these children, whether you like it or not. The scientific solution, explanation for what was happening at that time was the sickle cell disease, but it does not also explain the fact that some of these children came back with the same mark of when they were, from their former life, or when they were born before. Now, our people believe that the Abiku children or the Obanje children that kept coming and dying had what we call Iyuwa. Iyuwa means this is the promise I have made to the people who bought me. I'm just giving you the basic explanation so it's easy for you to understand. I do not know what is called in Yoruba or in Efik or Ibibio or Hausa or any other thing, but in Igbo language it is called Iyuwa. Iyuwa in the sense that every child that came from the water has an Iyuwa. Iyuwa means, okay, since you people are allowing me to go to earth, this is the covenant between us. So it's like a covenanted item. This is what I'm going with. This is when this is where I want to be born to. This is when I want to die. This is how I want my life to go. And they say, okay, you can go, but these items are what connects me, connect us to you. So you always remember that you belong to us. And the child say, yes, I remember. And the child comes with it. I'll say, maybe like I'm giving you a visual explanation of how the EU works. Maybe the child, they give the child money, give something in ayokiri or something, and the child puts it in a little bag. Let me give you an example of what an EU might look like. Oh. Okay, let's say now this is your abiyo, like this. Now they will not say, so you remember where you came from. We are giving you this key. I'm using this as key. I used to have some money here. I don't know where they are. Perfect. Let's say this ego ayori, let's say this money now is part of your EUWA. So now the key means key to open the doors of something. They'll put it for you. This is money to signify that you will never go broke. They'll put it for you. This is maybe say thread, like this, to signify something that maybe it ties you. This is something that ties you to them. Thread like this, they put it inside the bag for you. They say, okay, this perfume now is what will make you appeal to people, find favor. They will put perfume for you. They say, this is Cortex so that you look beautiful. They will put it for you. They say, this is lipstick so that your beauty will never fade. See, this is red though. They will put lipstick for you. They say, okay, this is powder so that you always look beautiful. They'll put it for you. Just like that. They say, oh, this is medicine that you will never get sick or die. Lele. They'll put it for you. That's how they'll put your your bag will now be full. They'll now close it and say, mwam, go on a journey to the other world and live happily. But remember your promise to us that you will come and be seeing us. You will take care of us, and when it is time, you will come back to them. The baby will now say, yes, I agree. Carry the bag like this. Back home, go. Come to the earth surface and say, okay, I'm going to bury this Iowa at this water bank or in the front of this man's house that I'm going to, or somewhere. But the Iowa will be buried somewhere, and say, this is what connects me to this. I buried it here. Then the mother will now give birth. But there was a spirituality that made that child come to you, because it is believed that every child born, no matter how small, has his destiny. Time to be born, time to grow, and time to die. So it is now believed that the child who was a human in the spirit but comes in as a child already has some covenant that has tied it to wherever it's coming from in the form of what we call an Iowa. So this Iowa is buried by the child alone. This Iowa is buried by the person, and the only person that knows where this Iowa was buried is the child himself or herself, that knows where her Iowa or his Iowa was buried. No other person has this. The only person who can find out the information about where this Iowa was buried is a spiritual person that has the gift to see further than the human eyes can see, to know where a child buried his Iowa, because some children forget where they buried their Iowa. So this is how the Iowa bags works. Can I unpack it before it is if me I followed them? So this is how the Iowa thing works, in case you've heard it before, but you do not still understand how that whole shit works. That's how it works. Now, the child starts growing. In most cases, if the child does not die at infant, the child starts growing, and eventually these people who the child, maybe the child forgets the promise that the child has made to her Ndimiri. And now the child start growing, living the best life. Then one day the Ndimiri gets angry and say, oh, it's like record keeping. Oh, where is so child? We have not heard from this child. This child have not come to check on us or to thank us for protecting him and all that. Why is this child not showing up? They get very angry and they attack the child. Then problems start. Maybe in the area of finances, maybe in the area of marriage, maybe in the area of life struggle, maybe in childbearing, but they start attacking you because they are angry with you. They are actually vicious spirits, and that's where people now start saying, oh, you need to go and appease them. Because I'm just telling you now, have it in your mind, they don't used to do alias with Ndimiri. Yes, the person who say that the people who were born to Ndimiri deity family are looking for a way to jump out of it. Then people that do not understand are going to run into it. It is actually true. The deities in the waters are one of the most powerful and vicious deities you will ever see. They are possessive, they do not like to share, and if you make them angry, they will do everything to defeat you. They will do everything to destroy you. So they are one of the most vicious deities you will ever encounter, and that's why people do not like to have anything to do with them. And just like you have these principalities and powers that rule the earth, territorial demons, witchcraft, occultic and all that, they are all also under the water, because the water is another world. I think that the most scientific explanation that has been given about the depth of the water was when the submarine the Titan Ocean Gate submarine crashed recently, and there were now educations and documentaries on how deep these people went. That was when people started hearing that down the water is as deep as 50 or 60,000 depth, that the depth is phantomless. So do you think that at that level, 10,000 feet, 20,000 feet, 40,000 feet, 50,000 feet, that there are no more depths in the ground? I think that was the most scientific explanation or exposition on the fact that the water is another world altogether and that the depth is unfathomable. So now these people get angry with people. They also have their own principality. The worst people you can ever deal with. If you want to fight and fight forever, you want to deal with powers that no pleasing them, there's nothing you will do that is enough. If you fight them, it takes a long time. It takes a life of battles and sorrow to ever win them. It's marine witchcraft. Witchcraft practiced under the water. Why? Because it's using two combinations of most powerful elements. It's using the combination of two powerful elements, that is earth and water. Imagine vicious power combining the two elements of earth and water. Is the worst kind of powers you ever do with marine witchcraft. And you will not understand what I'm telling you, but somebody who goes to a prayer, a firebrand prayer, not I dey pray ministry, we dey bind ministry, oh Jesus, I love you Jesus. People that pray. And the best example that I can give you of a ministry that understands what I'm talking about and how vicious they are is Mountain of Fire. Mountain of Fire understands dealing with marine spirit. They are the most vicious powers ever. So if you've gone to those kind of church, if you've ever been to Mountain of Fire, you understand what I'm saying. You understand what I'm saying about marine witchcraft. They are the worst kind of power. Now, I'm still going to tell you a lot of things that marine witchcraft can do to you. Please do not let me forget. In fact, let me note it down so I do not forget. Marine witchcraft. And marine kingdom. Then we'll also talk about what the English people call incubus and succubums, and what we call in our own understanding spiritual husband and spiritual wife and spirit wife. Okay, so now we're still talking about the traditional. I'm trying to let you know this in the kindest way before we go into the viciousness of these powers. So these people will now say, oh, where is so person? This person has not come to appease us. So where is this human being? They now start tracking you because it's assumed there's a monitoring mirror where they call your name, you appear, and your activities are all embedded in that information like a device. They now track and say, wow, so this person has forgotten the promise he made to us. It is time to strike. They go after you in the vicious way. Then you, not knowing what you are dealing with because you did not take out time to consult, to actually know the root of your problem. You run from here, you run from there, you do this, you do this. The more you are dealing, the worse the problem is getting. You keep struggling, you keep struggling, you keep struggling, you keep struggling, and it goes on and on. Luckily, some people never find this. Unfortunately, some people never find the solution to this because we like to deceive ourselves and tell ourselves that these things do not matter. Once you just say in Jesus' name, it is over. Story. There are people that are lucky. Remember what I told you. Not everybody comes from water. It is believed that mankind originated from either of the 6 elements of nature. So not everybody comes from water. So the water spirit, unless it's being used against you manipulatively, Not everybody is answerable to water. That's why you see some people, they come into life, no problem, everything is happening for them. Time to marry, they will marry. Time to born, they will born. Make money, they will make money. All those things. Some of them is because they are in a good place with their element powers. Some of them is just that there's nothing special happening, so they go through life, or there has been an intercessory powers protecting them, or their ancestors did something that is protecting them, or God is really interested in them, everything is going for them. But some people, majority of people who battle with one power or principality. In fact, if you have a gift, you have a calling, you are important in any kind of way, your life will never be easy. Life, the easier your life, that means there's nothing as spectacular that is expected from you. But the most vicious your battles, that means there is something expected from you. In the English, in the Christian and the funky motivational way, we say, oh, God reserves the fiercest battle for his strongest warrior. Those people that are called the strongest warrior are the people who have ololo on their head. There is something special about them, and that is why they are going through those vicious cycle they are going into. So you start fighting them, you do and do and do. Remember, we're still talking about the traditional side of it. Then in our olden days, water deities, some families actually are covenanted with water deities. The way some families are covenanted with earth deities like Ogugu, Amadioha, and all those Ahobunago and all those deities are the same way that some families are covenanted with water deities. I remember a particular story that was shared by Cynthia after this, that the lady talked about that their family, that their grandfather also worshipped a water deity. They are from Calabar. They worshipped a water deity, and after the grandfather died, everybody scattered and forgot about it. And that the only way she suffered, she prayed, she did this and that, and until she went to appease them, that's when everything that was happening to her stopped. She was able to get married. It is true. It happens all the time. I have seen it happen. Yeah, bro, fire. If you like, fire them from now to tomorrow. If you defeat them today, tomorrow they'll come back stronger. There is nobody in life that goes through life without a battle. In fact, if you are going through life, there is no battle, everything is moving fine for you, you should be very scared. You should be extremely scared. If things are going well for you, it means that there is nothing spectacular about you. You're going to live the most ordinary life. Maybe you are comfortable with it because you do not aspire to more or another, but it also means that your death is extremely close. Life, the beauty of life is that you fight battles, you defeat it, and you go. The beauty of life is that bad things happen and you prevail. That bad things happen to you does not mean that you are hated by God or God does not take interest in you. His eyes are always on his sparrows. Never forget that. So as I was saying, these powers exist and you do not know. You cannot know what you're dealing with till you go and ask the necessary question. Now, some people are so lucky. They even know what they are dealing with because they see it's koro. These people that dream, they lie down and sleep. Every minute they are seeing themselves in water bank, doing something in the water, see themselves in water, see strange people, visit them, they talk to them, they laugh and all that. Some see their own physically. Some it's only when they lie down to sleep that they see. Some see their own koro like that. These people are lucky. At least they know who they are dealing with. And if they are lucky, the people they are dealing with will also tell them the solution to the problem. Oh, if you give me this, I will leave you alone. You need to find this and give it back to me, so I will leave you alone. So it is believed in the traditional system that the only way to separate yourself or appease your water people to leave you alone so that you can live your life is to appease them or separate yourself from them. One thing I do not think will work is to say, okay, let me go and worship you people. You will put yourself in trouble that you will not come out. There are people that worship them. Oh, that one is their own. Oh, you can decide to worship them. That is your business. But I also think that the best solution is to either appease or separate. from this nature, you cannot win them. They have time. They don't need to do anything. Their own is to fight you. So if they map you out like this, they will focus on you to destroy you. So the best solution is to either appease them or to separate yourself from them. Separation can be done through the Christian prayers or Muslim prayers or whatever prayers you're doing. Appeasement can also be done. I don't think the Christian religion makes rooms for appeasement in the sense that they do not tell you to appease water spirit. They tell you to send fire to destroy them. That if you send fire, fire will catch in their camp. You cannot destroy what you did not create. That thing, if you have heard it, that you cannot bring down what you did not make. That thing applies to all facets of life. You did not create demons. The demons were there before you were born. Fire will not destroy them. And the way you have been firing them since, what has happened? It's either you gently appease, and this, what I'm telling you, is not different from negotiations in the corporate world. So you either gently appease or you break whatever is linking you. That's why sometimes, if those of you who have done appeasement, like that spirit appeasement, when you are doing it, they'll tell you to bring a tree. They will now be telling you, I don't know, those of you who have done it, they will now tell you, now, first of all, before I tell you how the appeasement work, I need to say this. It is fallacy that everybody has spiritual husband or wives. Not everybody has them. Someone like me, the one I'm single on earth is the one I'm single in the water, or anywhere, or earth, or sky, or blue, or anywhere, any of the elements. Anywhere you call me, I'm single. Since I started going to church and have gone to quite a number of prophets. In fact, I'm a prophet's favorite item. Once you see me, you will see everything. You will know. Once you see me, you will know what you are dealing with. Nobody has told me spiritual husband is disturbing me. Because the spiritual husband, disturb him. You have to give me money. You have to give me money. You cannot be spiritual husbanding me and I'll be suffering for nothing. Ego. Whether you are spiritual or physical, ego. So I know that I don't have any spiritual husband. So it is fallacy to be told at every time. Sometimes you go for deliverance in a church, they start saying, every spirit husband. I don't need to pray that kind of prayer because I don't have any spirit husband. Me now going to pray, every spirit husband is me trying to go and look for husband in the water. I did not look for on earth. It's in water. I'll go and look for husband. So I do not try to be a part of any kind of marriage, spiritual and physical. So that one is on their own. Our Christian community always make the mistake of telling everybody that there is a spiritual husband. No, everybody does not have a spiritual husband. Everybody does not have spiritual children. Everybody does not have any kind of spiritual linking. It's not everybody that is linked to the water. Yes, the water may be used to fight you. We'll get to that when we're talking about marine witchcraft. But not everybody is linked to a spiritual affiliation. Yes, what I'm still telling you, when I'm talking about spiritual husband, you understand it. So that child that was given an Iowa that carried it to the earth, maybe when the child was about to leave the sea, it had already committed itself to a husband or a wife, or maybe inactively participating in the activities of the water, had married somebody under there. So that is where the spirit husband or wife thing comes into. Now, if you want to go and appease the water spirit, if you've ever done water appeasement and you will be honest enough to admit it, I know you people have done it. I even got a picture there that I saw something in the ocean. Everything I'm telling you now is not something that I studied elsewhere. It comes as it's coming to my brain. That's how I'm talking. It's as if something is telling me this is how it is, this is how it is. I'm talking. When it's time to appease them, you see all those things that I put into this bag. You will now carry it back to the water again. They will bring bucket. If you find someone who knows what they are doing and knows how to do it, or you know how to do it yourself. Sometimes I even believe the one you did yourself is better. That's if you are blessed enough to have like an information about how it works. I'm teaching you how it works now. But if you know what it is you put in your own EOA, or you get somebody who knows what your EOA control, when it's time to give it back to them and separate yourself from them, this separation and appeasement, remember I said it's not by fire. You go and carry it again. They will bring something for you that looks like what you took. They will not say, Iabo, ki unu nyemo, walukwanu ki unu. Iya bụ ego unu nye m, welụkwa na ego unu kpaka m. Iya bụ ọchọ mma a na-agba n'arụ, like this is the perfume that you people gave to me. Take your perfume back. This is the powder you people gave to me. Take your powder back. This is the cutters you people gave to me. Take your cutters back. This is the lipstick you people gave to me. Take your lipstick back. This is the thank God there's even sweet here, sir. They say this is the sweet you people gave to me. This is my blessed sweet, I beg. I cover my sweet with the blood of Jesus. This is the sweet you people gave to me. Take your sweet back. You put it back. This is the phone, or no phone. I don't think they do phone. Maybe a bottle of Fanta. Let's use this as a bottle of Fanta. This is the drink you people used to give to me. Take your drink back. This is the rice you people used to give to me. Take your rice back. They will now put all the things they gave to you back into their bowl and go to the water and return it and say, please, what you gave me, I've returned it back to you. That means there's nothing that is connecting me and you people again. Whatever is connecting us is over. Please go your way. Let me go my way. Please do not look for me again. I have exempted myself from you people. Please. You have to beg them. This one is not, you go to the water side and say, I command you, I fire you. That water will wipe you where you never expect for this one. So when you carry all those things that they gave you, go and return to them and say, please, I have given you back what you gave me. Because what they used to pull you to the court of judgment and pull you to the court of justice, call it black justice, call it natural justice or whatever, what they use to pull you back to them is that thing that connects you both. So it is said that, I don't know, let me take you back to the Bible again so you understand what I'm saying. It is said that in the heavenlies, that the Supreme God always calls a meeting of all the powers and principalities. That means that it's not only angels and saints that come before God. Demonic forces, the devil, the spirituals, the principalities and powers always come before God in a court of justice. So God sits supreme over all the creature. So let me give you an example. Today is meeting day. Okay, let me say, God forbid, but let me now ascribe the power of God to mere man. But I will give you an example. The way Tinubu used to call Wednesday council meeting. When he calls Wednesday council meeting, everybody that's in charge of every department will come. Governors that are in charge of states will come. Ministers that are in charge of ministries will come. Service chiefs that are in charge of defense will come. And procurement and all that, everybody will come and tell the head of state, these are the problems in our unit. This is what happened in our unit. This is the person giving us problem in our unit. That's how it is before the throne of justice and throne of mercy. So when God calls a meeting, and it's also in the Bible, and if you don't remember what I'm talking about in the Bible, cast your mind back to the book of not Revelation. I said I don't want to go into the book of Revelation. Cast your mind to the book of Job, when God called a meeting and the devil was telling God, this your servant Job, let me test him, let me do this to him and all that. That is how the principalities and power also go for meeting before the throne of justice. And they'll say, God, this woman is holding something that belongs to us. This man is holding something that belongs to us. He does not want to give us back. God now say, oh, go and collect your thing. Or God will say, no, you've struck this person, stop that thing and all that. But it's better you give them back, because you get. So everybody deserves justice in their own way. So when you carry this thing back to them and say, this is the thing you gave me, please collect it back, let me live my life. I don't want to be with you people again. I do not want to be a part of whatever you people are doing. Just collect what belongs to you and let me go my way. They will collect it and go. Some will collect it and say, you're not going anywhere. They'll come back again. That is what it looks like. Some, you may not even know how to present the thing, or the person who is doing it for you does not have that intervening power. They will now go and return it to them. They now say, who did she give it to? Hey, it's not us, so she's still owing us. So that is why I say it all the time, that the debtor, the person who is owing somebody, is a slave to the person, physically and spiritually. The same thing I'm telling you now. When you are owing somebody money, that person can summon you spiritually, you appear, because you have something that belongs to that person. For the rest of your life too, you give that person back what belongs to them. That person can summon you with that thing spiritually, is also in a bag that you owe them. So that you owe somebody money for the rest of your life, you are subject to that person till you pay back that money. That is why, as a human being, I try never to be indebted to anybody in any kind of way. Now, moving on. So you give them this thing, they collect it. Some leave you or not, some continue coming after you. Life is battle. I do not know why that happens, but to the best of my knowledge, appeasement, if done very well, can be done once and is over. The spiritual husband is separation. The same way divorce is an exit plan to a marriage contract, there is also spiritual divorce. Anokwaism. If I used to marry you before, I don't want to marry you again. It's not by force. I won't ever marry a by force. So please go your way. Let me go my way. If you say I'm your mother, I don't want to be your mother again. I have disowned you. Go your way. Let me go my way. So that is where it brings us to the topic of incubus and succubus. The English people will call it incubus and succubus. You know, we like to pretend that every bad thing originated from the black people and the white people did not have their own problem. Their life is just beautiful like that. Nah, lie. Their own demon no be our mate. In fact, if you see where their own demon, if you have watched a movie or documentary or read books or performances where their own is performing, you gonna say our own they learn. Because I've not seen anybody here that has spiritual man that they used to raise pastor that came to deliver them to the wall, hang them there, twist their neck like this person's neck will break. If you have read books about incubus or succubus, you will know that our own power is learning where their own is. Our own is mad ones. Their own is learning. So incubus and succubus. Incubus is what we call spiritual husband, is a demonic love interest that finds a particular man and becomes the love of the particular man. This incubus, or so the succubus is the female one of it. So the succubus goes after male. Incubus goes after female. So incubus is the spiritual husband kind of, and succubus is the spiritual wife. So the spiritual power that is said to have originated from the water. So the incubus and succubus are actually water powers. Find a love interest on earth and say, this is mine. You don't need to talk them. I'm the only one who can make them happy. They are very, very possessive like that. I'm the only one who can make them happy. No one else comes to them except me. They could be torturous in the sense that, sorry, please, I need to take this call. Hello?
Your Excellency, happy Sunday.
Good day.
Good day, ma'am.
Okay, is it urgent? I'm very busy and I'm on a live video.
Okay, we're meant to be discharged this evening, like the doctor said.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but please send me the final results. Have they done the test?
Yeah, they've even taken his stool. They've done the blood, the final blood check. They said it's cool. They're just giving him what is it called? Precautionary antibiotics injection, which is what they said to complete this evening, then we can run.
Okay. What of the cough?
The report.
The cough, and his breathing, has his breathing normalized?
Yes, normalized. The 3 doctors that checked. In fact, the other doctor that checked him said he was supposed to leave Friday. Then the other one came and said, let's stay more so that they can check him more to make sure everything is...
What of the blood level?
Ma'am?
The blood level?
They've not given him, but the doctor just checked now and said his blood level is okay. They've discontinued the what is it called?
The transfusion.
Yeah, they gave him it. They said it's okay. Then the syrup they are giving him, that they said it's just 2.
All right, so, okay. Please, at the point of discharge, tell them to tell you the balance they have so they can give it to you. Tell them I said they should give it to you.
Yes, ma'am. They said once we are about to leave, they will do the final calculations here. If they exaggerate it, I don't know, but I believe we'll get the final.
There's no problem. As long as he's okay, I don't mind. But they should give you a balance.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much.
I'll let you know. Are we supposed to come straight to the orphan home today? One of the discharges?
I don't know. We don't have full staff. Bring him tomorrow.
Okay, tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay.
Bring him tomorrow because I'll need to call mommy and tell her first of all.
Okay.
Yes, and I'll talk to secretary about it. And I'm not around. We don't have a full staff in the home now, so bring him tomorrow.
Okay, tomorrow morning then. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah.
You too. I'm also going to give you. Sorry guys, I have a child in the hospital, so when a call comes in from them, I will have to answer it immediately. I'm very, very sorry. So like we were talking about, the incubus spirit or the succubum spirit, if you're somebody who reads very vastly or you have read the English story of it, could be very vicious spirit. Sometimes they will torment the person until the person die. Sometimes they make good things happen for the person. I have seen people say, oh, their own spiritual husband is good. They used to give them money when they are dating somebody. The person will be prospering, and then their own spiritual husband gives them money. They wake up, they see money at their desktop. Oh, even though the spiritual husband sleeps with them. Some good, some bad. You know why it happens that way? Because just the way we have earthly marriages, where sometimes you marry a very generous man, sometimes you marry a jealous guy, sometimes you marry a violent guy, sometimes you marry a whatever it is you can marry on earth. That is how spiritually to you are able to marry nonsense. Sometimes you marry generous spirit, sometimes you marry possessive, sometimes you marry jealous. It differs from person to person. I do not think it's always a good thing. I have heard a woman say, oh, her own spiritual husband is so fine, he's beautiful. When they come, they make love, he gives them money, he tells her, do this business and all that. I've seen someone say, oh, their own is a bully. Oh, people disturb me too much. Their own is this, their own is that, their own is that. It all depends. It's never the same at any level. So the coming down to our own religion, our own African level, we also have the spiritual husband. They have tormented some. Some of them will be so jealous that they will make sure that their spiritual wife does not marry physically. Like, how do you people say it? Oh, my husband cannot marry another wife. If he tries it, I'll do this, I'll do that. That's how them too. They also used to say, my wife cannot marry another man. If he tries this, I'll do this and do this. My husband cannot marry another one. If he tries it, I'll do this and do this. I'll finish the woman. All of them, the same thing. Like how people say, or the Catholic Church say, as it is in the beginning, now ever shall be world without end. As it is in the physical, so it is in the spiritual. Whatever has been agreed on physically has been agreed on spiritually. Whatever is done here on earth is the same way it is done in heaven. Whatever is done here on earth is the same way it is done in the water. So even the dimiri or the spiritual, whatever it will call it, is the same thing you contract on earth. Sometimes it's the same way you contract in heaven. So the only way to separate yourself from the spirit, whether it be it good, some don't like separating, some like their spiritual husband, ganga, they like them very well, they're not going anywhere. Some like their spiritual wife, that one that attends to them when everybody is gone, some like it. I know of a guy that told me he had seen his wife's spiritual husband. In fact, the most vicious story I heard is that guy's story. He said he will be in the room sleeping with his wife. That he noticed when they got married that every time he's sleeping, sometimes he wake up, it will be as if there is somebody in between them. He'll just be like, they don't have a child, obviously, so he just assume, oh, it could be anything and sleep. But that one night, when things started spoiling in the marriage, problem here and there, from trouble to trouble and all that, one night, he said he woke up and he saw a guy walking out of the room. Like he opened his eye in the middle of the night by mistake. He sleeps deeply, so he doesn't see anything. But at that particular night, he woke up somehow in the midnight and he saw a guy get down from their bed, wear boxers, and walked out of the room. And he opened his eyes and was like, Jesus, who is that man? The wife just turned and said, oh, leave him, he's going. In physical like this, so the wife said, leave him, he's going. I was like, a part of him was confused. Did I just see what I saw? Or it was my imagination? Like he didn't compound it. He told me, I said, that's your wife's spiritual husband. That's what happened. I was like, are you serious? So I was sleeping with that. I said, yes. That means he comes, your wife is aware, she comes at night, that you guys are married, did not take away the fact that the wife comes. And the spirit is so vicious that if she gets pregnant physically, the spirit will come and collect the child from her. Like that, she'll see the spirit come, drag the child like this out of her womb. She will have miscarriage physically. So it's like that. The spirit thing, the only solution is to either separate or to appease. Now, this also brings me to that side of, abeg make I scatter this thing. No man, no use my hand. Conclude my matter by myself. Sorry guys. Superstitious like that. So now this brings me to the aspect of what water can be used to do to a people. Another vicious part that I do not think I've talked about is dedication. Of the water dedication or the spirit dedication. Some will have children, depending on how they got the children. People that have been looking for children from the birth or that, they'll go to the water and say, oh, Ohum Mirio, Ezewanyi Mirio, mother of the sea. So each sea has their own deities or goddesses that are in charge of it, or princes. It's not always goddess, they have gods too. Or deities, better to say. So the way we have territorial demon, the way we have Prince of Persia, Prince of Greece, Prince of this land and all that, is the same way we also have spirits that guide each water. Now, and here you need to know this, very important for you to know this. Each water body has the spirits that guide it. They are not guided by the same spirit. That's why you will go to Bar Beach in Lagos. They tell you that the Bar Beach is controlled by the Queen of the Coast. You go to another state, maybe in Guinea. They'll tell you that the Ngene River is controlled by so spirits. Some of them have names, some of them are nameless. If you know, you know, but they all have names, Sha. So maybe now you came from Ngene River in Anambra State. Now you want to go and do appeasement. You now can be appeasing Queen of the Coast in Bar Beach. Kolo work now. You are giving to the wrong river. It is not the river you came from. So why are you going to appease in another river? So that's why I always have a problem with that thing that Facebook Mami Waters do. They'll just carry it to one random river and go and drop everything there and tell you are free. You know they work like that. You must go back to the root of your problem. Just the way that if what you are dealing with is an earth deity, and maybe, okay, let me give you a prime example. Let's say that the powers that are disturbing you are from your father's house. Will you leave the powers that you need to appease in your father's house and go and be appeasing spirit that's in Lagos State? It's not possible. You must go back to your root to appease it. So the first thing when you want to do appeasement or anything is to know the particular person you are appeasing. That means consultation. Where is the water? Naturally, most of the waters that will give you problem or you originated from will be the water in your village or close by, except in few cases where the water spirit you're dealing with is water that came from, like maybe a child that was taken from a water. It's also not different from what the Bible says about altar. If you know the altar where you were blessed, go back there and say thank you. So if your mother or your father had gone to Bar Beach to get a child, you can now go back to your village and be begging your village spirit to release you. That means the spirit that needs to be at peace is the spirit of the Bar Beach water. If it's in Elegushin, you will go to Elegushin. So you will know the root of your problem and go back to the foundation of that root. It's not just to be wandering up and down and saying you are doing water. Every water cannot accept your sacrifice. Every water cannot accept your appeasement. You must go back to the root of that water. That means you must consult and know exactly where you are appeasing. It is very important you know that for those of you who go and do appeasement, right? Good. So as I was saying, so if you, okay, I'm talking about dedication now, right? I think appeasement comes in and out, in and out. It's very important we always remember separation and appeasement as solution. So now there are some people that when they are going to look for a child, especially women who are looking for child, they will go to a water. They'll tell them, oh, is this water that gave me spirit? Or in their quest to have children, in their desperation, they go to all sorts of places, commit to certain spirits that they are not even aware they have committed to the spirit dedication. They will not go to some dedication. They will not say, oh, this will happen. If you give me a child, I will always come back and give you this. I will give you that. I'll give you that. They promise my children will serve you. My children will. You're covenanting yourself, you're covenanting your generations to that child. And because that child came from them, definitely one day they will come and look for the child. It's like when I give you my child to come and stay in your house, you now think I'll forget. Even child where they adopt, sometimes the birth mother goes back to look for the child that she gave up at certain point in her life. Talk less of the one I gave you to make you happy. So definitely they will come back to look for the child. So when they come back, the mother may have died, or the mother may have forgotten her promise to these people, or the mother may not have taught her child, oh, look where you're coming from, oh, you need to keep appeasing them and all that, and the child gets into all sorts of problems till appeasement is done. In the same light, apart from women who are looking for children, there are families, like I told you, who serve water deities. The source of their own protection, preservation, or provision is a water deity. And that's peculiar to riverside families. They say, okay, let this water protect us. This water, at every point in this year, we'll be giving this water a cow. They don't take human beings now. That's another thing. Water spirits do not take human beings as offer. They don't used to throw a human being inside water. I've never heard of water spirit sacrifice. The earth might take a human being. The fire might take a human being. But I've never heard of water taking a human being. So I don't know. I'm just saying I've never heard. I don't know whether they used to do that one. But I know they like chicken. They like sweet things, Fanta, mineral. They like Fanta, where. Those people like Fanta, where they like sweet, they like chewing gum, all those kind of shasha eating. So if you say, okay, at this time of the year or every 5 years, I'll bring so thing to you, you forget about it, you grow old, you die, none of your children is doing it. Definitely, after 5 years, when they wait, they didn't see this, okay, maybe they got busy. 10 years later, these people have not come again, no. Because like everything in the world is documented. They also have their own record. 10 years, you have not come. Your children have not come. Maybe you have died. Your children did not come. They will say 10 years. No, let me leave them. 15 years, you didn't come again. They will get angry and they'll start coming after you. They might come after you, and if you had gone to ask question at the beginning of the whole crisis, they'll tell you, go and appease also people. That is the cause of the problem. You say, oh, never, I can never worship my God. They sing, they go, they will now strike you. Because you have initiated a war with them. You people will go to war. If you initiate a war with them, they will also fight you because they are trying to also defend themselves and defend the fact that you are the one looking for their trouble. You too, you on defense. All of you are fighting. One person must win. One power must succumb. Hopefully, I hope that it's always you. But that is also how the origin of these problems so many people go through, come to play. So that is how it. Sorry guys, the hospital is calling me. Sorry, please. I need to take this call, but I'll be talking while we go. So you keep fighting battles you do not even understand. You and them are fighting back and forth. You go to church. Church people will tell you, fire them. Sorry. Hello? The hospital is calling me. Can you tell them I'll call them back? I'm very busy. Is there anything I need to know? Tell them I said I'll call them back. What's the time? Alright. So that's it. Like I was saying, that's why I don't like answering call. It takes me off the tree of what I'm talking about. But if you know where your problem is, let's say the problem that what is causing the problem is that they want you to come and continue worshiping them like your forefathers did. They want you to come and continue doing what your forefathers did. And now you're a Christian. You cannot do those things anymore. They don't fit into your lifestyle. You don't even want to be a part of this. And rightly, you don't even want your children to continue doing this. And you say, okay, I'm not going to give you people what you want. I'm going to fight it with you. If you have energy, fight them. Right? If you say you don't have energy, you want to give them what they want and you want to worship them at your own risk, go and continue where they are worshiping from. If you say no, I don't even want to be a part of this, I just want this to end, I just want to separate myself from this, that's where appeasement and separation comes in again. You do it once, but like every fine contract you're negotiating to put an end to something, just the way that when you want to divorce somebody, in that original classic divorce, so you sit down with lawyers and say who is getting who. Okay, I'm going to give you this, you are no longer going to answer my name, I'm going to give this, I don't want to see you near my company, I'm going to give you this, please leave my children alone, I won't. Haba. Sorry. So that's how it works. You keep on saying, you go to the negotiation table with them, doing an appeasement, and you say, I'm giving you this for the final time because I wasn't here when. Hello? Are you in the hospital? Please go back there. They keep calling me. Tell them if they give them the phone, I'll speak to them with this phone. But they're interrupting what I'm doing with the other phone. Yes, please hurry up. They're disturbing. Is your wife in the hospital? Let me call her. Let her hand over the phone to them. So you go to the negotiation table with them. That's how the appeasement works. If you find somebody who knows how to do it and you're very sure of the particular deity or water people you are appeasing, you go back to them. Luckily for you, if it's a water in your father's village or your mother's village, it's easy to approach. If it's a water in any state or wherever you guys made your covenant with, it's easy to approach for them to do it. So that's how it goes. That's how the appeasement and all that work. Now moving on, it's not different. If you notice, everything I'm talking, it looks like life works in a symmetric. There is order and there is order to everything that has been created. So moving on, the next power or spirit who are the next thing about the water people we're talking about is witchcraft, marine witchcraft, or vicious power. Same way somebody will go to a native doctor and say, oh this person, I don't like how they are progressing, I don't like how things are working out for them, I don't want her children to get married, I don't want her to get married, I don't want this thing to happen to it. Please, can I give you people something or make a covenant with you so that you go and destroy this thing for me so that I will win over this person? That whole jealous thing, it also happened. The way people go to a native doctor and a deity and say destroy somebody with me, that's why they also have spirits that also destroy people. Remember what I told you at the beginning, the water can be used for preservation, the water can be used for destruction. So now they go to the spirit and covenant with the spirit and contract with the spirit to start disturbing you. That's where marine witchcraft comes into play. And for marine witchcraft to be active, there must be a blood link. Learn that today. For marine witchcraft to activate for somebody, it's not just a spirit you walk into. It's not something you just do. Or maybe you see me on Facebook, you don't like how Amanda looks, you hate Amanda, you now go to the water spirit. All they can do is see certain things, but they cannot work against me because you have no link to me. So it will be very hard for them to destroy me, especially if that person you are going to destroy is in 1 million, is broke 1 million. You know, go work now. It's just like telling somebody to kill their child for you. so that you'll be happy. So for the only order that marine witchcraft accepts for it to work is that there must be a blood link by marriage, by birth, or by genealogy. So most people who are dealing with marine witchcraft powers are people that are close to you that have initiated it. It's coming from a family link. It is usually from a family link. And one of the way it comes from a family link is through birth. Now, let me give you an example. You give birth to a child in the hospital, they collect the, what do they call that thing? The placenta of the child, that thing they cut off from the, I don't know what they used to call that in, from the tongue, like the navel. You know, there's something that comes with the navel that they used to clip off from the child. Our people call it otubonwa. I don't know what the other tribes call it, but it's that navel that there's something in the child that they used to clip off from the otubo. So it's believed that that is what connects the child to the mother. So they used to cut it off. Yes, and later they'll cut it. That thing, or the placenta, very powerful. If they get that thing, they get placenta, they get the hair of the child, the umbilical cord. Thank you. You sabi English. You go school well. Either the umbilical cord or the placenta of the child or the hair of the child or an item that has been worn with the child can be used against the child. And definitely for somebody to have access to that, except from even the doctors and the nurses, sometimes they use it because they have access to something that connects to the child directly with blood. But most times, the people who use it majorly are people of your own family. So that's where the Bible also comes in and say that the enemy of a man are those of his household. So somebody to use marine power or marine witchcraft against you, that means the person is related to you. And most of it comes from the time of birth. That is why I keep telling you, know who you gave the placenta of your child. Oh, don't say it is my mother, it is my father, it is this, it's my husband, it is this. Know who you gave the placenta of the child. If it's possible, use your hand and dispose it. And remember I said, do not bury. Burn, if it's possible. Burn. Do not bury. Burn it. If you're among those that used to encapsulate, I don't know whether they used to do it in Nigeria, encapsulate, or if you are those that used to eat it, cook it and eat it for stem cell renewal, cook and eat. If you believe in burning, burn, but do not bury and do not give anybody to bury on your behalf. Use your hand and dispose of the placenta of your child. Because if you are a member of Mountain of Fire and you understand these intricacies and deep depth knowledges I'm teaching you, you know that placenta witchcraft, umbilical cord witchcraft is another level of witchcraft. Before you come out, the person that did it will die. You have still not come out from it. Because I'm going to give you an example how this thing works. I give you my child's placenta to bury for me. You carry my child's placenta, go to the water and say, this is the placenta of so-so child. I'm putting this placenta here. Everything about this child, will monitor it. Nothing good will happen for this child. This will not happen. Because from the time you were born, the powers that know that this child, you know how you give birth to a child, you take the child to dedication in the church. A prophet will say, oh, I see this child will bring you greatness. This child will be this. This child will be this. Mark today's day that I say that this child will bring greatness to this family. This child will do this. That means it's possible to assess the future of a person by looking at them if you have the power to see beyond what ordinary eyes can see. The same way that you are seeing that this child will be great, this child will do this, this child will do this. It's the same way evil forces will also look at a child and say, if I leave this child will do this child will be blessed in this area, this child will be do this. No, I can't let this happen. No, it cannot happen. I must stop it. Same way, no different. So your child can also be open to both good and bad evil. And now I'm going to tell you this so you do not think I'm just talking blah 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 or whatever. You remember all those fairy tale story that you people used to read, Sleeping Beauty. You remember how the witch saw that Sleeping Beauty would do this and they just made the child sleep for life till love woke him up and all that. That's how it is. A prime example is in the book of Matthew, Mark, Luke, or whatever, those three first book of the Bible, or John, where the birth of Jesus was foretold, and the birth of John the Baptist was foretold. The birth of Samson was foretold. Okay, let me use a prime example. Samson, the birth of Samson and Samuel. Well, let me use Samson. The birth of Samson was foretold that they will give birth to that child, and that child will be the salvation of Israel from Palestine. The same time that that child's glorious destiny was announced, that was also the same time that the devil started fighting this child back to back. And what did the devil use to finally get this child? A woman in the name of Delilah. So the same time every child is born, there are children that their destinies. In fact, it's also believed that every human has their destiny written in their foreheads or at the palm of their hand. So that looking at the palm of their eyes, their eyelid, like their eyelid and their forehead, you can easily see the destiny of a child and what they will be if you can see beyond the ordinary. Now, the same way the good people are seeing it and proclaiming it in the name of prophetic utterances, that is the same way demonic powers also see it and try to stop it. Remember I told you, I don't know if you have been following me for so long, I said that destiny is written like this. They don't used to clean it. They don't used to wipe it. But it can be delayed. It can be stopped. It can be covered. And it can be stopped for a while. But if it's the will of the God and the will of God that that destiny will shine, that thing that has been covered like this can be opened. That thing that has been covered is not cancelled completely. So that's why I say nobody can steal your destiny or use your destiny. But that thing that has caused a delay in that destiny, at the right time, when God says enough, He don't do, that destiny can be open like this. Small, things will start getting better. Small, things will start getting better till the full bloom comes. That's how life works. So the time you are seeing your child, you give birth to a child, and I don't know whether I've taught you people this, I'm not teaching you now. You see that first prayer and proclamation that the parents do in a hospital when they give birth to the child. It is the most important dedication you will ever do for your child. As they're giving you your child like this, let me use this as an example. As they're giving you your child like this, unless you are unconscious, you do not have the energy, as they're giving you your child like this in the hospital, naked, covered with all this thing, carry that child like this and start speaking greatness, start speaking prosperity, start speaking preservation, start speaking protection on the child. Oh, my child, as you have come to the womb, no man will hurt you, no woman will kill you, no this will happen. The lines you walk, men will favor you, women will favor you. Anybody who thinks evil about you, may they not see the wake of the day, may they not see the darks of the night. Start praying. That thing you are doing there is the most important dedication you will ever dedicate to your child. I commit you to the hands of your creator. Your creator alone will decide what will happen in your life. Nobody except me, your mother, except me, your father, that will ever say a thing and it will come to pass in your life. Witchcraft power, as you are speaking like that, that is the most important dedication. Now they used to carry, go to church and give church. Do you know the altar you are dedicating the child to? Do you know the foundation of the altar? I did not say that one is not important too, but that one you dedicated. After all, as a mother, as a father, you are the one who has the next authority after God over your child. So if you do not do this very fast, the evil one do it before you. They can take over that child. So that prayer and that dedication you have done immediately can protect your child from danger. So it's important that we always remember. Hello. So the enemy has seen the future of your child, and know what that child will become in the future. They will start from when that child is small and start fighting you and start fighting that child. I'm a testimony to what can happen at the place of birth. The nurse that was in the labor room when my mother was giving birth told my mother, immediately they brought me out, the nurse started saying, Jesus, star but the too much. Hey, Jesus, because my mom was quite young. My mom was 17 or 18 when she gave birth to me. Then I said, hey, before the matron now came into the room, now saw what was happening and took me from that child. The kind of cry I cried. And it kept happening over my life. The battles, people will see me and say, hey, this girl. That's how it is. I also want you people to know that it's also important that you learn to cover your child's star or even your own star from people. Not everybody. If you like, be the prophetess of the prophetess. If you like, be the prophet of the prophet. Not everybody should know everything about your life. The same way we protect our physical histories. I don't want anybody to know what's happening in my relationship. I don't want anybody to know who I'm dating. I don't want anybody to know how I live my life. I don't want social media people to know anything about me. I don't want anybody to know when I'm pregnant. Like they surely know when I give birth. They surely know of the success. They don't need to know about the pains. I don't want this to happen like this. That is also the same way. You should also strive to cover your spiritual life and to cover your future from people. Not everything should be assessed by the spiritual eyes too. So many people are too exposed. I used to be that way till I learned what I learned. There's a time if I come to Facebook like this, I will just see one of these marine women talking about me. Oh, that Amanda, this Amanda, they saw this. Why are you going to do incantation and ask question about somebody that is not your business? Thank God, everywhere they go, they used to also get the same thing. So they know that my head is not chewable. So it is like that. Maybe sometimes if I go to I come online, I join all these prophets online that are prophesying. Immediately they see me, they'll start talking. They'll talk. Is that how one of you people's popular prophets saw me on Facebook? So, hey God, this girl will be rich. The next day, he wanted to marry me. So it's like that. You should also hide your destiny a little bit spiritually. Because the more people see, the more there's not only good people that are seeing it, bad people are also seeing it. When they come meeting, both good and bad appear. So everybody should not see anything about you. So I structured my own life in such a way that the only thing you can see about me are things that will harm me and things that I need to do to bring about goodness and preservation for myself. There are certain areas in my life, if you like, be seeing on our phone chat this prophet on our phone more if you like be seeing all the more. There are certain things about me you cannot see because I use my hand and say, God, I'm covering myself. They don't have to see everything. Let them see what might harm me, or let them see what I need to do, or let them see to a certain extent about my worries, but let them not see so much about who I am destined to become. You can also do that for your children. It's not hard. They used to use hand and do it. Say they can see this if they will bring them harm, but they don't have to see everything. So when the evil one sees certain things about your child, they also go to stop that thing from shining. So they go and cover it. And if you are dealing with an earth covering, it's easy to break. It's not always easy. No one is easy. I have to tell you the truth. But when you are dealing with the water, the one that has been done in the water, my dear, the battle is of the Lord. That is all I can tell you. You will fight and fight because they fight in a very vicious way. And remember I told you that the reason why they fight in such a vicious way is because they combine two elements. They combine the elements of the earth and the elements of the water together to fight. You are just with your own strength, hoping and praying that what you're doing is enough. But it means that you may spend the whole of your life in the church fighting. Now, this is different from the foundational powers of the water. What we are talking about is the one that somebody somewhere use their hand and cause for you. So when you're dealing with marine witchcraft, you will pray and pray and pray and pray and pray. You might spend the whole of your life praying. So it's something I do not even wish on my worst enemy. It's something I do not hope anybody ever has to deal with, because if you deal with them, you will know that shege is shege. You will see shege and you believe that shege is shege. So that is all there is to talk about using power. Deliverance is free. Deliverance is possible. But how do you go about deliverance? How do you know how to go about deliverance? Remember I said, every water is not your territory. So know your waters. Now, I'm going to also tell you the use of water. Remember we talked about water as a healing property. The things you see people do, the Catholic Church do it, the Pentecostals do it, we do it. I'm very sure there are people in the Congress that have taught the water therapy and they have used it and it healed them. That's how powerful water is. As little as a bottle of water. I don't know whether I have a bottle of water here to practice with, so I can tell you what I'm showing you. As little as a bottle of water with faith can turn into a healing property. That's why in your churches, if you go to a prophetic ministry, they'll tell you bring water, would prophesy over the water, you use it. Some people will drink it with all their faith and they say, oh, they vomited substance. It started a healing process in them. Just like that water was used to heal Naaman, just like the Bible said that the water of life, that come you all you who are thirsty, I'll give you water, and that is the water of life, and it will cause a healing and all that. It's still the same way. There are waters that heal. That's why you go to rivers like River Oshun in Osun State, and the Yorubas will understand what I'm talking about, and they say, oh, this water has healing properties. If you're looking for the fruit of the womb, you can go there. They have so many of those waters in different places. In the Igbo side, you have waters like that. In my village, there is a water like that. They say, oh, it heals people. You have like Oshun or Hum and all those places. You have things like that. So that's it. Now, I'm going to tell you about using the territorial powers of the waters of different land. I think I spoke about this when I was speaking last week about it, that when I go to a town, I go to a new country, and there is water there, I go there and I pray with the water. I do it in Israel, I did it in Jordan, I do it in Maldives, I have done it in Qatar, I did it in Singapore. Yeah, because I went to water in Singapore. So I have done it in, I don't know whether I did it in Ethiopia or any other, no. I think these are the countries I have done it in. I think I've done it in Dubai too. So when I go to water, you know how you go to a, like I taught you guys this thing last week, you go to a new land and you say, oh, may the land bless me, may the gods of this land yield their best fruit to me, may the what do you call it, the prince of this territory walk in my favor, may they not work against me. So also when you go to a land, a new land, you can also command the water to bless you. In the book of Isaiah, there's a place where it says that the water is used to bring wealth of the nations to a person. In that place also, there's a place where they say, across the seas will the goodness of the land overflow, and that the water will yield its goodness to you. Now, I also pray with water. I go to a place like what I do in Maldives, and to tell you how powerful this thing is, I had a friend who went to Maldives last year. Was it last year? It was by my direction. My people arranged the Maldives trip. He went to the Maldives and he stayed in a resort I have never stayed in before. But this resort was very close to the Maldives is an Oceanian nation. So this resort was very close to where you have the natives, that the original Maldivians, where they live and all that. So he said he went on a tour of the island, and some of the Maldivian persons say was going. So somebody now called him and said, I have a message for you. He was like, Oyibo person, message for me. How come? What's happening? The person now said that our gods have asked you to make a sacrifice to them, give them something to eat, and speak to them, and they will bless you. He was like, what is that? Or how did that come about? He didn't understand it. Like, this is a woke guy, like, completely chill boy, nothing like all those kind of things. He now came back. He now called me on the phone. He said, "See what this person told me. Oh, I don't know how it works." I was like, "You're very lucky that at least you even saw who told you that the first day I did it, nobody told me. I was sleeping in my room in Maldives. Something just woke me up and said, this is what I want you to do. Go and do it." And that I did it exactly how they instructed me to do. But you are lucky. They gave you direct message. I said, "You have wine in your room because normally if you want Maldives all inclusive luxury and all that, you get a bottle of wine and all that." I said, "You have wine, Abby?" He said yes. I said, "You have like fruits and all that?" He said yes. I said, "Do not spoil the water, but this is what you can do. Go to that water when it's almost dark so people do not see, because if we both see you, they say, oh, you're destroying the water body, you're polluting it. When it's almost dark, go and do it. Go to the water, say, Oceania, there is no water in the world that does not connect to a sea, that does not connect to a river, that does not connect to an ocean. So the water bodies of the world are all connected. If you know, you know." So say, Oceania, that this water in this Maldives resort connects to the Oceania. It connects to the Atlantic Ocean, it connects to the Indian Ocean, and somehow it will flow to River Niger. Since you're an Igbo man, so it will flow to from River Niger, it will flow to the water in your village. So say this water that you have instructed your child to come and tell me to offer you something, I have come to offer you that thing. If there's any goodness that belongs to me, if there's anything that belongs to me that is in this water, may this water vomit it for me. May He release my blessings for me. May He bless me. And may every power in the water that controls this territory, that men and women of valor, great men and women in this world have all come to this country to enjoy the peace and tranquility that is in this country. So also shall great things come into my life, shall wealth come into my life, and shall goodness come into my life. Whatever belongs to me that the water has swallowed, that the water is holding, that the water is using, please vomit it for me and let good things start opening for me. May the good spirits, because there are good spirits in the water too, there are good spirits everywhere. May the good spirits that guide the water and make this land prosperous, and the only resources this land has is just water. May the good spirit that comes from the water also bring goodness to me. Carry that wine, open it, and pour into the water. You are giving them their offering. Shikina. That's how they like sweet things. Give it to them and go your way. I do it in all the water I go to. I do it in all the water I go to. Any country I go to, I say foreign, like, goodness will follow me. The wealth of that particular nation, that there are people in this land that count in millions. That's how many to our account. That the Bible said that the wealth of the nation will be brought to you from across the sea. So the wealth in this nation will follow me back to Nigeria from across the sea. That's what I told this guy to do. This guy did it. Omo, the kind of crazy money this guy made from last year. That time he had, it wasn't last year, I think it was 2020. Yeah, it was 2022 now. Last year, after I had gone to Maldives and come back, the kind of money this guy made from that time up till now, he make money so he leave Nigeria. From that trip, he left Nigeria, moved to another country. The kind of crazy money he made. Sometimes he'll be telling me, I'll be like, wait, just like that. The kind of crazy money he made so much money that there was a time he would just call me. Is there anybody that you need that have issue? I say, oh, please give us. He'll just send me money. Do this, do that, do that, do that, do that. The kind of crazy money he made. Just one simple act. So that's it. So the water can also be used for curse. It can be used for blessing. I also taught my partner this thing. I said, carry one bottle of Fanta, go to the water, pour it and say, let this water bless me in this land that I am now. So that's how it works. So when you see people near the river that go to the river and give the river yam, sugar, sweet, they are going to invoke the blessings of the water. You will say what they are doing is, how do you wish to say it? It's fetish. It is not right. It is this. You can only serve one God. That one concern you. Anyone you believe be doing it like that. But if you people used to raise water in your church and say water will cause blessing, that water. If you go there and say water will cause blessing, it will cause blessing. As you speak, so shall it be done unto you. Whatever your mind conceive is what it will be. So if you go to the water and say, kill somebody for me, you're consigned. If you go to the water and say, yield your blessings for me, you're consigned. Everything the Lord has created, everything that God has created is subject to human control and human usage. So if you go to the water and say, this thing will bless you, that is how it will bless you. If you go and say it will curse you, that is how it will curse you. Use it for your own good. So that's how powerful the water is. I'm tired already. I don't know what to say again, but it's a whole topic. So I'll look at some of the questions. If you have any question, I'll look at it and answer you guys from there. So let me go to the question. You can drop your questions now, but I'll look at the questions and we'll go from there. So any question? I'm very tired already. I think I've done this for 2 hours now. Oh my god, was I live? Okay. For me, you're concerned. If you go to the water and say you do. Let me see if there's any question. Another thing, they swear for you with water, I go tell you. Like somebody carries a cup of water and swear for something, go tell you. And another thing is that all those of you that like going to do sacrifice, put something in the water. Mind the water you are going to put it in. The deity that guides that water may be a vicious deity, some may be kind deities. Not all deities are wicked, not all the same way. Anything. Anyhow you want to, any scenario you give me in the Christian version, I'll throw the traditional to you. Any scenario you give me in the scientific, I'll throw the other versions to you. So the same way you have good pastors, good prophets, bad prophet, good dibias, bad dibia, it's the same way you have good deities, water deities, and bad ones. So know where you are going. And there are waters that hate any kind of dirt. Same way you have human beings that don't like seeing dirty anywhere. I'm like that. Don't dirty my house. And that's why I don't like people coming to my house, because I feel like they'll throw something somewhere and that thing will start growing muco. There, I will not be able to find it till the muco have children. I'm very scared like that. My own OCD is like that. So also, there are water that do not like being dirtied. That's why if you put some things in there, that thing will bounce back. They'll be like, come on, get out of here. Don't put that nonsense in my water again. So know where you're going and know where you are going to appease. So know the water you are dealing with and what is guiding that water. So I'll just take question and that is it. Okay, you talked about not burying your placenta. If you bury, so what we'll do is spiritual in the sense that you're burying the child already. That's what connects a child majorly to the earth or the formation. So burying it sometimes looks like limitation. So I don't know whether you've heard of buried blessings. That's how it is to me, buried blessings. And I learned this in Mountain of Fire though, that you do not bury the placenta, you burn it. So burying it can also cause limitations for a child. So it's not advised to bury a placenta. What else? Why did you say we shouldn't bury placenta? I've answered that. How do I attract blessing in a new environment I move to, especially if water is not close by? You can use the earth or other elements. It's not only water that are the elements you can praise with, but you can also get a cup of water that is flowing in that place. There is no country in the world that does not have water. Okay, so if you fetch a cup of water from the tap, sorry, please let me pick this case to the hospital. Hello? Who is this? Who is this? So like I was saying, this person asks, how do I attract blessings in a new environment I move to, especially if water is not close by? Get a cup of water or a bowl of water from the tap of that place and use it to pray. When you finish, go and pour it outside. It's the same thing. There's no country that doesn't have water. What will happen if one buries the placenta? You are limiting the child. It's limitation. It can cause limitation. Amanda, you don't turn to Ezenwa in Facebook, Olodo. Your mates will learn. You come and be talking what you don't know. How do I know the spirit behind the water? Because I already feel like taking Fanta to the rivers in my mother's land. If they don't find it funny, you will know. So that one is not even a... But must you pray with water to be successful? No, you must not pray with water to be successful. Him who God has blessed, he has blessed. Him who he will show mercy, he will show mercy. Some people don't even do all these things. They just live their best life and everything was for him. So him who the God will bless. I think one day I'll talk about chi. There is everybody's chi is different. Chi in the sense that the spiritualists have what they call chi, the traditional have their own chi, and the Christian call it your guardian angel. So that is it. The chi is different. Your own chi might do well and all that. So get out. Yes, it's you that I called Olodo. Please, any other person? Any other question? I think that is all the question that I can see from here. Does anybody have any other question? Does anybody have any other question? Okay, so there is no other question I can see. Let me check. Let me check the other page and know whether there is any other question before I close for today. So we've been doing this for 2 hours. Is there anything we didn't touch? Let me look at this. Okay. So I think the water thing has been analyzed. The next one we'll talk about will be light. I don't think we'll talk about wind and the heavens. Maybe that's the air, wind and all that can come under the heavens. But I think the next one we'll talk about should be light. That's it. On the light is where you have sun, where you have moon, where you have day and night and seasons and time. That's another powerful element that people do not know about. So that is it. Okay, let me see if there are questions here. In a situation where the water spirit doesn't need any appeasement but just to continue tormenting the person all the days of the life, what should the person do? It's possible, I don't know, but I do not see the reason why the water spirit will refuse appeasement. Maybe you have not done the appeasement very well, or you have not tackled the issue very well, or you are not doing it the right way. Because the laws of natural justice applies in every situation that concerns man. So if you say your problem with me is I need to appease you, unless maybe they want you to worship, that means I cannot answer for you. I do not believe in worshiping vicious spirit, because if you worship, it's forever. It doesn't make sense to me. Unless they want you to worship, there are some that are worshiping, it works for them. Now there are rivers and deities. I think they used to have this in Nanka and Agolo. I don't know whether they still do it now. That really bless the boys of that land. If you go to that community, I know about Nanka and what do you call it? Nanka and Agolo. That the boys in the community are doing extremely well. Why? Because like their ancestors, they know that the water deity in that land or the deity in that land are protecting them, and they continue doing the same thing and they are progressing. So it really depends. And I also need to tell you that water, okay, that one is unnecessary, but water vomits the body. It keeps it that. But okay, I've spoken about it. It's not all water that likes to retain dead material. So if you put some things, the water will throw it up for you. Yes, okay. This one says, Amanda, you're scaring me with this demon, Amanda. You're scaring me with this demon, Amanda. I don't know the English she's speaking, Sha. Okay, I think there's no question from here, so I would assume I don't have any. Okay, Ostina, when you are sacrificing to appease the water, are you not entering into a covenant with them? I've heard people say this thing so many times. I do not understand it. What covenant are you entering? That's why I say that it's just like when you go to negotiate something, you should know what you're saying and be careful of what you're saying. So when you're doing your negotiation, tell them this is final. I'm not coming back to you. I do not want to be a part of this. Please remove me from your midst. So it depends on the terms and conditions of the appeasement. That is extremely important. The terms and conditions of the appeasement. I saw a place where somebody once said in a video that, oh, when you go to do this thing, your children will now be covenanted and all this. Your children, just like you, will also grow up and face their battles and face their own things and whatever it is they came from and all this. So it's really inconsequential, and that is when you need to understand the breakage in all these things. What is the issue? So it goes without saying that whatever you're dealing with, you must know the cause and the effect of it. If the cause of what you're dealing with is something that your ancestors dedicated you people to, you now know, okay, they said more mama more, you go just not say they don't put the children join. But if you're going to separate or appease yourself, try and also remove your children. So when you're appeasing them, tell them that I'm giving you back anything. Call like that. But if the children, no matter what you do, the children have their own battles to fight, they will also fight it. It goes without saying. There is nothing that demands worship that do not extend to generation and do not extend to lineage. People do not understand how powerful blood lineages are. As long as you are related by blood, some things become a pattern. I'm telling you now. Okay, let me give you an example. You give birth to children. You were born into a Catholic church. You grow up. You introduce your children into the Catholic church, Abi. Your children will start. Does it mean that because you introduce them to the Catholic church, your children will not have normal life battles that people have? They will go through their own battles. Things that will happen will still happen. Their lifestyle will still play out and all that. If they will have their own battles, they will go through their own battles. It's what it is. So also the spirits you go to appease, that you appease them does not mean that they cannot say, okay, the child that just coming to this one is also our own. Carry your you and be going. It doesn't stop it. Whatever that demands worship also demands continuity. The same way that since you were born, your mother was praying since you were born, you start praying your own. When you go, your children will pray their own, their children will pray. It's the same way those things happen. And that's why there is that saying in the Bible, it is war without end. Bidokita, luenwa, luenwa and time is endless. That means it is war without end. So when the Catholics say, glory be to the Father, to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, now, ever shall it be, war without end. So it is a world without end. So that means the glory will always be given to the Father, to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit. So as long as these principalities and powers exist, they will also come to take what belongs to them, to take what they consider their own glory and all that. So that's why I always say appease and separations are the best power and the best bet you can go with, so that you yourself will overcome the troubles of your own life. Your children can figure out their own salvation. And as much as you try to act as an intercessor for them, these things will reoccur. Time without end. There's nothing that is new. There's nothing that is happening now that has not happened in time gone by. So the world is really just in circles. It's war without end. So that you went into it does not mean your children will have a hitch-free life. Everything will go. That you fought all the battles now does not mean your children will not have their own battles to fight. It is a world without end. It happens, and it happens. If it wasn't happening, your mother's prayer, especially those of us that were born into a very strong prayer family, my mother is a prayer warrior. If it wasn't happening, the one my great grandmother prayed should have protected my grandmother from her own battle. The one my grandmother did should have protected my mother. The one my mother did should have protected me. The one I have done should protect my children. But it's not like that. Everybody with a destiny will come and face their own battle. So that's how it is. Any other question? Okay, so that brings us to the end of today's live video talking about water and all that. So next time we'll be talking about the element of light. Under the element of light is where we have darkness, is where we have day, is where we have night, is where we have seasons, and where we have time. This is like, I'm taking like the top 3 most powerful elements ever that could make or mar people. So next week Sunday we'll be talking about this, but definitely please join me tomorrow. We're talking about personal branding and discussing all the lessons I got from watching celebrities and some of the things that I take home from that. So thank you for joining me. I appreciate you guys. Have a beautiful, beautiful week and be informed and be knowledgeable. God bless you all. Bye.